Welcome to the first episode of Yahsoul Talks. I'm Naheem Yusuf Muhammad, fashion designer, stylist, content creator, and I'm here with the co-host,
Omar A. Muhammad, Naheem's father, spiritual guide, teacher, friend.
indeed, best friend. And Yahsoul Talks, we're redefining father and son dialogue, giving it more nuance and a different perspective so that some of y'all out there can resonate, or maybe not resonate, but just vibe out and open your mind. Anything to say to that?
Free your mind and your soul shall follow.
Indeed. So the first question we have, that would be, should sons follow their father's path or forge a new one?
Should sons follow their father's path or forge a new one? It's kind of hard. Yes, I think sons should forge a new path. And that new path would be the path that's for them. You know, because I have a philosophy, you train up a child in the way they should go, and when they are old, they won't depart from it. For Naheem, I saw that Naheem was an artist. I could see it very early. You know, I think he was 5 years old, and I saw one of his paintings, and I framed it because I was like, this dude right here is into arts. So I tried to encourage you to find the arts, find your creativity.
I agree. I feel like it's almost like a 50-50 type of situation, because I do think that sons or even children should follow their children's path in a way that, like, I think when you're a parent, there's certain things that, like, you hope to, like, instill into your children.
Yes.
But at the same time, it gets to a certain point where there's, like, a fork in the road. And, like, that's when they go off and they forge their own path. So, like, a lot of my friends would say, and even, like, family would say that I'm very similar to you as far as, like, personality and, like, ideals.
Yeah.
But, like, at the same time, I'm like, the lane I'm going down, the way I'm getting to the stuff that I'm doing is my own path.
See, and that's very important because the idea was that I was deliberate about conversations with you. I was in your earlier before you start making decisions. I was helping you to make decisions,
Right.
asking you, what's this? Feel this? Test this. So that's one of the things that I know has really been. I call it the seeding. The first 2 or 3 years of your life, we just took you everywhere. We showed you everything, showed you all kind of life form. That first year, and then after that, as we went on, whatever it was that, you know, our ideas or our perspectives, we're sharing that. And we have a discussion about that.
Right. Even like now, like I feel like with this question, it's kind of like funny for our scenario because the fact that like you created Yahsoul and I'm like the one that's taking up Yahsoul. So it's very like almost on the same path exactly, but we're in a new world and like the path I'm taking is now like I have to carve out a different one.
But let's celebrate that. Let's celebrate that because the fact of the matter is, yes, Yahsoul, you know, from his birth, it was, you know, righteous gear, clothes for your soul. It was, the whole concept was, you know, the idea is that we would have our own brand. I was kind of tired of seeing people use as advertisements rather than as, you know, them developing their own statement. So my son told me one day, and I didn't realize, he said, you know, I've seen Yahsoul all my life. And I was like, yes, because I have hats, I got jackets, I got vests, I'm wearing some Yahsoul right there. Yahsoul is just in me. And then I don't know how he picked it up. He was just like, I'm gonna do that right there. And I was like, yeah, so you do it. But the thing is, when I'm talking about forging our own path, because, you know, yes, we're on that path. Yes, we've been on this journey, but you had to put your, I call it stink. You had to put your stink on it, you know.
The stink on it.
Yeah. So
that was actually gonna be my next question, which is like, how did you come up with Yahsoul? Before I say that, like, yeah, no, definitely. Like, I like when people ask me like Yahsoul, because I have like the Yahsoul tatted on my arm, and one of my teachers are like, "Don't do that. Don't tattoo the brand on you." I was like, "Shout out Miss Duarte, I love you, Miss Duarte." But I was like, Miss Duarte, I was born into this. I was like, this is like a lifestyle, it's an ideology. It's not like whether the brand is successful or not, which it will be successful. Whether it's successful or not, though, I was like, Yahsoul is in me. Like, there's nothing, there's no separation. Um, so how did you come up with Yahsoul? How did Yahsoul come to be? Because I know a lot of people out there, like, they're seeing a lot more of like us, and like a lot of people like, dang, how the heck how did that happen? And so like, you know.
Well, the deep mystical ideas of Yahsoul are these. It's the idea started from the idea that there is a Yah, and that Yah is the I am, and that Yah has my soul, created my soul. And so I've been always trying to be in line with source, the creator. So it's Yah soul, right? And then you have the seven locks. The locks on it. So the seven locks, you know, if you read Revelation, it talks about, the seven spirits that surround the throne of God. So I'm thinking, my throne. Where would God be if he's going to be on the throne? He would be on my head. Now, I had long locks. I had locks for a long time, and so mine just sprouted up in him. I don't know. It's really something. But Yahsoul came from that. Now, Yahsoul came from seeing that what was the world was giving us was just branding. It was it was no different than, to me, what they used to do when slaves came in. They would put their brand on them, right? Yeah. And so this is such and such slave, right? Because that's his brand. But I was like, no, I don't want that.
Yeah.
I want I want to represent me. I want to represent, this unique spirituality. I want Yahsoul. And so I just started having things made. I would go to Lawson Swap Meet, get stuff, get stuff done. Come with the idea. I had a young man, I paid him. I gave him the concept, and he drew it out for me. You'll see the rings on there, because when I had my locks, I had these silver rings also that were on it. So, it's all connected in that sense. So the Yahsoul came out of that. I don't want to be a brand.
Can I speak to that?
Yes, please.
I think, like, not even subconsciously, but like growing up, seeing the brand, seeing Yahsoul, I was always like, when I would look at, like, I was always a people watcher. I'd always observe. And so I'd look around, I'd see like all the monograms and the logo manias and stuff like that. I'm like, it's so in your face. And I'm like you said, it feels like a billboard, right? Like, it feels like you're free advertisement for this brand. Matter of fact, not even free. It's negative advertisement because you pay for it.
Exactly.
And so, like, I think, like, I always had the mindset of, like, let the garments or let the craft, like, speak for itself in a way.
Yeah.
Or, like, do it subtly enough to where it's not forced down someone's throat.
Right.
And so, because, like, you see now with the new age Yahsoul, there's really no logos.
Right.
Not yet, at least. You might have it on the tag, but, like, I really want to just design and let, like, the garments and the cuts of the garments and the pattern making be the thing that's, like, drawing you in.
Yes.
And, like, the practicality of it instead of, like, the branding. Like, you're just a walking billboard for me.
So that's a continuation of the idea that I was having. So when I say righteous gear, clothes for your soul, I'm thinking about this. The soul is the seat of the desire. The soul is the things that you want. So you want I desire, right gear.
Right.
I desire gear that's going to be positive for my soul, soul enhancing, soul developing. So in that sense, I'm like, yeah. So when you say that, I'm like, you got the spirit, you got the essence of it. But what I like about what your twist has been, and I love it, that it's practical as I don't know what. It may look, it's lavish. It looks lavish, right? You rolling in it, right? But at the same time, the structure, the pants, the deepness of the pants, you have the pockets that go, and you have sometimes it's all about the silhouette, bro.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you got the silhouette. It's just an all one constant flow.
Yeah. And that was very intentional. Like, because the thing, like I said, I'm not crazy for the logo mania. I liked things to kind of work for me and with me.
Yes.
And especially when it comes to my clothes, I'm not the type of person that likes to, like, buy a bunch of clothes and, like, switch out a bunch of clothes.
No, you do.
I like to buy I have like my staple pieces, and I got like 5, 10 solid fits, and I'm just cycling through those fits. And so when I'm designing, I like to make stuff that is practical. Like I got enough pockets that I don't have to carry a bag.
Thank you.
I got my pockets can like zip or button, or they have stuff on them so that I know my stuff is secure.
Yes.
The silhouette, yeah, and like even when I say like works for you, like the silhouette is large. Like the intent behind the silhouette is it working for you. Like if you feeling a little down, put on some pants that's gonna give you a strong silhouette, and now you feeling a little confident. You know what I'm saying? If you feeling a little like you don't look like the baddie today, put on something that's gonna cinch you and make you look like that girl or that guy. You know what I'm saying? And like let it work for you. And I feel like once you have garments that are doing that for you, not even garments, whether it's bags or accessories or anything, you're more inclined to wear them on a weekly, daily basis, because it's just like, yeah, no, this is almost like become like my second skin, and like I could just go out and feel like who I'm supposed to be, and like that's where it ties back into the free your mind and your soul follow, because once you're putting on these garments and you're resonating with these garments, you start to feel more free. You start to feel like, oh yeah, I can be who I am because I feel good, and when you feel good, you do good, and so it's like, yeah, now you free, now your mind is free, and you can just flow.
Bro, I had a wild experience with that concept, because on New Year's Eve, I put on I had these pants flow, and I was rocking the Yahsoul hat, and I was like, I said, I'm in this place. All the stuff that could happen when like. Who are you? Why are you wearing such a loud thing? Whatever. I was like, no, today you're gonna see me, the way I am, raw as I can be, with all my drip. And so I'm like, okay, I was right there. I was powerful.
Yeah,
I was so powerful, bro. People were just staring. I was like, what? I know. But it's also because I was exuding that free soul spirit. I'm not bound to you. I'm not a slave to your systems anymore. I'm on a whole nother wavelength. If you can't catch my vibe, then you might be vibrating too low.
And I like that you said that, because that's what I feel like Yahsoul kind of does. The ideology of Yahsoul kind of does. Forget the garments. Like, the ideology of Yahsoul kind of is like a cleansing of those frequencies, of those vibrations, of those people who are not, resonating with you, because you pop out as who you are, and you don't have to worry about people like giving you fake love or showing this and that, because they just not gonna mess with you. And the ones that mess with you, they really gonna mess with you. And so it like cleanses that, and you just show up raw, and it's like, it's actually really refreshing. And like, it's also like a statement like, my existence is like unmistakable. When I step out in this stuff, you can't help but see me. You can't help but like acknowledge my existence. And like, now you just have to deal with that.
And that's what most humans want. Everybody wants to be seen,
Absolutely.
So when I'm bringing this around to talk about, but I want to come back to the garment idea. But when you're seen by someone else, it's encouraging, So I see you, bro. And so I be seeing, and they don't even know I see you, bro. And I see you where you are, but I see you even at a better place. So that's one thing about that I see you now. But I want to talk about functionality for a moment. Can I? This is how we flow. So functionality wise, when I went to the I went to New Year's Eve, I had had that Yahsoul hat on.
Yeah.
I was sitting near the stage. I actually had a front row seat on the side of the stage, but the speakers were so loud. I hadn't been in one of them spaces, and I was saying, "Whew, I thank God for the Yahsoul hat," because it was covering my ears. It was muffling all that noise that was coming. I was like, so in so many ways, it was just like powerful.
Even that, like, I'm telling you everything. I'm very meticulous when it comes to design. And also, I design through the lens of like myself and the people. And my ears are extremely sensitive. Like I cannot be in the cold. I'm a California born and raised human. I'm not meant for temperatures below 60 degrees. And like even sound too, like sensitive to sound and all that. And so like I was like, yeah, I need me a hat. Cause I made that for my fashion show. I made that hat for the fashion show. And I was like, we're gonna be outside. I was like, I won't be able to last out there. And I'm gonna start shivering. And I was like, I gotta make me something that can like cover my ears and keep me safe. And so like I'm glad that you said that because I'm like, yes, like it came through. Like the purpose that it was intended for came through.
Yes, that's what you want out of all your, your creations, your babies, your spiritual. I don't know what you want to call, but
Yeah.
it was such a blessing, and I was like, oh my God, I couldn't wait to get home to tell you that. First of all, my ears are not as sensitive as yours, but I just love that my ears were comforted. Lately I've been wearing my hats and having my ears down because I like that little comfort. I think maybe you got that from me.
Probably, honestly, because I see you with the earmuffs on and like all that type of stuff for sure. It was one thing I was gonna say, but let's go to. All right, now I guess you can ask me something.
I can ask you something. Where are your questions at? Your questions.
One's written down.
Let's see. You are. Oh.
Pick anyone. Gay son or thought daughter.
Let's go with what are your hopes and dreams for 2025? Since we're right at the beginning of it.
Yeah, I think that's perfect segue. Let's say, hopes and dreams for 2025. Really, my hopes and dreams for 2025. I feel like I'm always on this path of like evolution, and I never want to stop that path. And so 2024, I feel like 2024 was my year of like furthering and like deepening my skills of like creativity, and whether it was pattern making or design or sewing or modeling, whatever it was like the creative year of like getting deeper into all that, and like even with school. And so like 2025 is like, okay, we got the creativity, we got the designs, we know we can do that, we know we can pattern make. Now we got to start getting into the business. Now we got to get the financial literacy. Now we got to get the legal stuff so we make this money and we keep this money. And
the word I'm hearing is implement. Like 2025 was a year of implementation.
Yeah.
You might want to Google that, but the idea is to set in motion those deep-seated ideas that you have been thinking about.
Right.
Like the birth of this podcast.
Absolutely. Yeah, we've been sitting on this for a minute, y'all. Just so y'all know, this is another one of those intentional things. And so yeah, just like you said, the implementation of all those plans and all these things. Also, I really want to put my hands on different things as far as like my creativity goes too. As far as like short films, I'm not gonna say too much. But as far as short films, as far as like the visuals, as far as the world building, specifically the world building, very important for 2025. Just like as far as Yahsoul goes, just like building out the world fully so that when people buy in, they are like absorbed into the world and they have a place and it's like a community for them. And also, this is just my personal one of my own resolutions, but like communications, like I'm a very like individualistic person. And so like I know that's not sustainable though. Like I can only get so far, you know what I'm saying, by being an individual. And so just like talking to more people, picking up that phone, calling my friends, you know, meeting up with people, communing and like working on stuff and just creating. What about you though?
That's being there. So I had to grow through that experience that you had, and I'm very intentional about being connected to people. Now, the thing is, I'm not connected to a whole lot of people.
Right. Yeah.
2024, I download. What is it? What did you release? What did you? I didn't delete. I had to cut some folk off. If you didn't hear from me.
They got left in 2024?
I think so. I didn't want to say it. You said that. He said that. I didn't say that. but yeah. And so those people I bring with, so I'm very intentional about that. I'm very intentional about family. You know, I don't know, a few years ago, I just said, I'm going to dedicate my time to my family.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to do. And so I think in that way I have been able to do that. But in this 2025, I feel like that I have to, implement
Mm.
ideas and concepts that the Most High has been giving me,
Right.
and see where they go.
Yeah.
Creativity comes from, there's a source of creativity.
Absolutely.
We allow ourselves to be channels.
Yeah, I think of myself as like a vessel.
Yes.
Like some people not gonna like this, but I'm a demigod. You a demigod too.
Oh.
And the reason why I say that is because you the son of a god. And so like I'm aware that like my creativity and my ideas and the energy and the vigor that I have is an extension of Gaia. And so I consider myself like a vessel in which, dude, that power is going through. You know what I'm saying?
I live my life yielding to that now.
Uh-huh.
Just because I've lived a lot of life. I got 61 years in this month.
We're exactly 40 years apart, by the way.
How many?
40.
Oh my
Exactly.
goodness, Lord have mercy! I never did the math. I didn't want to know that number. 40 years apart. What?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness! But this dude is he's an old soul. It's like I knew him before. So yeah, we talked about that on the ride. How, I called my children out from where they were into this space, and I said, I need you to bring with you the knowledge that you have where you are now.
Yeah.
Don't come over here empty-handed.
Yeah.
And every one of them brought
Yeah.
the
No, for
gifts.
sure. Like I feel like I have 3 siblings. It's 4 of us in total. I have 2 older brothers, 1 younger sister, and I feel like each one of us have like a superpower. And I know we talked about this yesterday, but like I feel like I did like this is my theory on myself. Like you can call it the multiverse, whatever. But I'm just like I've been here before. Like I've lived, I've died before, and I'm like this is the best timeline, which is why that's what I took from the other world. I was like I took the mistakes from the other worlds. I took the wins from the other worlds, and I was like, yeah, this time we gonna make it happen. This time we gonna get the big win.
I love that. I love that because, I don't talk about that much, but I do think I've had other lives. I know I've cycled through. I know I have one person, my wife, she's Dr. Jill, what I said, Humphreys. The sister, we just been. But my wife said you guys have been together for eons. This is not just the first time y'all got together.
Right.
It's just that you come in different formats.
Right.
And this format right now, she's an educator. She out doing her thing. I love education. She encouraged me to keep going. And every time we get together, we have to do this now because we have these devices.
Yeah.
We got to do a picture together, right?
Yeah.
Acknowledging that we were here at this time and at this space. So, because now we can keep a little bit of record as we are time travelers, right? Maybe that's too far.
Nah, the people gonna get it now. They're gonna get it. This is the place. This is a safe place.
Okay.
There's nothing's too far.
Thank you. Thank you. So yeah, so I agree with you, and I'm glad to be able to flow with you in this iteration of yourself. I think you're a, a wonderful being. You talk about demigod, yeah. You the son of God. You a unique son of God.
Right.
One of a kind son of God. That just and when you get to the point with your children where it's like you namaste them.
Yeah. Namaste.
Namaste. I see the God in you.
And I see the God in you.
I really never had control of you. You've always been a gift.
Right.
But I have had the opportunity to pour in, to nurture, to develop, the water, to do all that I can do so that you might be you because, my father did that to me. It's a generational thing.
Yeah. And hopefully I could do the same.
Yeah, granddaddy Yahya, yeah. I big up to the Honorable Yahya Balal Aziz Muhammad, my father.
And to speak to that too, like I was talking with Dylan and Aaron, which are my best friends, and I was telling them how like it's a certain level of respect and a depth of conversation you can have when you're speaking to someone, and I'm not even saying, when I say God, I'm not saying God tied to religion. I'm saying like your own individual. That's why I call God Gaia. That's my personal relationship with Gaia. I talk to Gaia, all right? And I'm like, when you're like speaking to people who are like aware of Gaia within them,
Yes.
it's a whole different level of conversation you can have. And like, it's a lot more depth and nuance that you can go to with them people. Because it's like, now we're seeing eye to eye. Like you said, like I could say I see the God in you in the same way you see the God in me, and we can talk and we can commune on that level. But when I'm speaking with someone who may not be aware of that, it's not the same thing.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
And let's talk about it on a little basic level, because basic level in terms of human relationship, you know, you know, there's a father and son dynamic. So so positionally, you might say the father knows best, because you know there's whole shows about father knows best. But is that really true? Maybe father knows what father knows, and son knows what son knows, because we talked about the other time about how it is possible that a human being, woman, can bring another life into this world. We'll come back to that. But my point is that we are of our fathers. We are of our fathers. And I have one of the questions I want to talk about, because it's an integration of who we are.
Right.
And so in that integration, we want to pass on some, dare I say, intangible gifts? Yes, I say intangible gifts. The ones you can't feel. They're not about money. You know, if it was about money, we'd be messed up. But it's about love. It's about beingness, respect for your humanity. So I don't have to play any I'm superior to you kind of games.
Yeah.
I now you're at the point, you're a grown man.
Right.
So I have to, it's not a have to. I want to have a dialogue with you like that.
And I think about that too, because I'm like, I feel like everyone in my life is genuinely there for a reason. Like, every person is an experience, whether that experience is meant to last for a day or for your entire life or a couple years, whatever the case may be. But I think there's something to learn from each one of those relationships.
Yeah.
And the way that, like, me growing up, old heads didn't really like me because I'm not the kid you could talk to, and I'm just gonna be like, all right, whatever. I'm gonna question you. I'm gonna challenge your thoughts, and I'm gonna like do that. And so like with you, it's like, yeah, we can challenge those thoughts. We can have those conversations. I learn a lot from you, and I'm sure you can say you learn a lot from me. And it's that like ebb and flow back and forth. In the same way that like even me, like, I was talking to my younger cousins. They be schooling. I'm not a sports guy, y'all. I don't know nothing about no sports. I'm a artsy, fartsy dude down to the bone. Yeah. But, like, they be schooling me. I be like, okay, like, you teaching me something. Yeah. I'm not going to lie. They did me dirty in basketball last week, bro.
Oh, my God.
They did me bad.
Y'all heard his feelings real bad. He might have even given up the sport for that. I was like, dang.
Man. Nah. But it's like, I feel like regardless of age, there's like something you can definitely learn from any individual that's coming in or out of your life.
Absolutely. I think they're there for that. And, there's a concept of iron sharpening iron. Yeah. So, when we have those, dare I say, clashes, because it's like, yeah. We're rubbing against the edge, because sometimes we have some difficult conversations about things where, it's like, I don't know. Yeah. But I'm glad I have somebody I can express this to, or I would be like in my head thinking, are you crazy?
No, I think that is also the like essential and like fundamental to the freeing your mind, because like I'm really big on not putting myself in echo chambers. Like I have friends who like some of their takes, bro, it's a little crazy. But
hold on, I need a little bit of help. A generational thing. What are echo chambers?
Echo chambers are spaces in which, this is my take on echo chamber. I need to get the Merriam-Webster definition, but echo chambers are spaces in which everyone around you is thinking the exact same way. There's no room for any other outside thoughts to come into this space. Wow. And I never want to put myself in a space like that, because if I do, I become complacent and I become stagnant and my thoughts aren't being challenged anymore. I can't grow. Like when you go to the gym, the only way to build muscle is to create micro tears. If you're not creating no micro tears, you're not gonna build no muscle. And so like the same way, like I gotta have some hard conversations. I gotta get cut a little bit when we having these conversations, and so that I can grow and I can learn. And so like putting myself in spaces like I said, some of my friends who have some crazy takes and like, or we just don't agree on certain things, and I'm like, I'm not the type of person that's gonna be like, yeah, but we can't be friends no more. Right. I'm gonna be like, all right, let's have a conversation about this. Yeah. Why do you think that way? Yeah. And then I'll say why I think that way, and we can have a dialogue, and we can still coexist. And because we had that dialogue, I gained a new perspective, right, and I'm able to like grow and be a more evolved version of myself instead of being that same person before I had that conversation. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I call that group mind for my thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I've seen like all my life I've been I haven't thought like other people think. I'm not a group mind person.
Right.
Here's one of the descriptions of me. Oh, he moves to a different drummer.
Yeah, drums to a different beat.
Yeah, drums to a different beat. And so I'm like, okay, but I've always been like, always curious, always want to know. So that group mind, to me, is a trap.
I think it is a trap.
And
I think it is.
I'm not trying to be falling up in that trap.
Yeah. And unfortunately, I think right now with like social media, there are echo chambers being created every day. And people like before they realize it, they like put themselves in an echo chamber.
Wow.
And
yes.
It's a little saddening because I'm like, dang, bruh. Just open your mind a little bit. Just open your mind a little bit. And like I don't think anyone like I think there's a difference between like being open-minded and having conversations versus like folding to anyone who comes and talks to you. Ooh. Like you should be standing on what you're standing on. If you're that like passionate about it, stand on that. Like argue that point or like defend that claim. Right. But like being completely closed off where it's like you can't even talk to me. It's like, all right, then like you're gonna be that person when I come back and see you in the 5 years from now. And like you know what I'm saying?
Talking about some real talk because that kind of stuff has to be encouraged early in your life. You know, you have to be able to say, you know, because I remember I used to always ask you guys, you just told me, what did you do? I said, don't lie. You know, I was like, I don't need to lie. And y'all learned it after a while. It ain't gonna be, you know, just talk to them, tell them what you say. And then, but my always question is, why did you do that? Mm-hmm. Yeah. What was your reason? What were you thinking about when you did that? Mm-hmm. And I think that people have not been challenged early in their walk to have that kind of, and I wouldn't, why?
Yeah. And I agree because what I've noticed and like with my very close relationships, some people take offense to questions like that. Like I'm a very blunt person. So when I ask that, I'm just like, yeah, why'd you do that? I'm not asking to be like, oh, you're wrong. No, I'm just asking to be like, I'm genuinely curious as to why you did that or like why you think that way. But for some people, the ones who have not been encouraged to like think in that way or like question those thoughts or challenge those thoughts, their like defense instantly goes up and it's like, what do you mean why I did this? No. And then it's like, okay, now we can't have a conversation no more. Like I just want to know. Right. So we can have a, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's the word. It's coming to me, but yes.
It's like guarded. The walls up, yeah.
That's a crazy thing when that happens. You want to do another question?
Yeah, let's do like one more. Okay, I have one. I think this would be a good one for like just like the scope of society right now. Why is vulnerability seen as a weakness in men? Or why do you think vulnerability is seen as a weakness in men?
Yeah, it seems like since the beginning of time, at least mythologically or in ancient texts, that men always were trying to cover themselves. There's a concept about how you are and how you be, which kind of encourages like you can't do anything right. You're out of order. Sometimes they use the word sin, but not with any definition. I have a specific definition of sin, right. And so when you're talking about vulnerability, that's like the opposite of putting on fig leaves, covering yourself with clothes, trying to, you might have, back to design effect, you might have designer names and all that kind of stuff, and when people see they can, oh, that's Fenty, that's Gucci, yeah, but in terms of is that just a covering? What do we know about you?
Right.
Maybe we know you spend a whole lot of money on your clothes, right? Or you thrifted or whatever you do. But you see that as an emphasis. But when you talk about vulnerability, it's like the word comes to mind is transparent.
Yeah.
And opaque is I can't see through this, but transparent is more like I can see through a glass.
Yeah.
Right. So but you have to live a life of integrity to want to be able to be vulnerable.
And that's when I think it kind of gets like warped a little bit. Yeah. Especially now. I feel like because of like what you said, it's like a lot of mask being put up and a lot of like forced perceptions. And to the question, why do I think vulnerability is seen as a weakness? I just think that because, like you said, being able to see through somebody or being able to see their intentions, like you kind of feel like, yeah, I am weak, not because I'm weak, but because like you know more of who I am. Yeah. And like I'm not being hidden from you, you see more of me. And for most men, especially for like living in America, like a patriarchal society that was built off of the patriarchy, like that is like the last thing most of these men want is to be seen as anything but like the strong macho man who has no emotions and is stoic and like all this type of stuff. And so like I feel like that's why it's seen as a weakness. But in my opinion, I feel like now there's levels to it. Yeah. I don't think you should probably be like crying every single day to your people. Like, you know what I'm saying? I feel like there's a certain level of like self-awareness and like self-help that you can like, you know. Yeah. But like crying and like being a human is like, yeah, bro, I think that's strong. Yeah. I think like you're a strong human to be like, yeah, bro, I cry. Or yeah, bro, this is how I'm feeling right now. Right, like, exactly. You know what I'm saying? I think it takes much more strength to do that than to be the guy who just puts on the mask and is like, nah, bro, I'm good.
And but because at the end of the day, all that putting on the mask is going to be, it has to be dealt with. Yeah. So it's rather to do it now than to do something like that later. But yeah, the vulnerability part can, in terms of weakness, there's a part that I was thinking about. Because you live a life of integrity, you know you're good. Some people take your meekness for weakness. And so vulnerability is seen almost like, oh, you weak. Yeah. Because you weep, and we know how to get you. We know how to say things. We know but the fact of the matter is, you know, you're strong. If you've dealt with it, if you worked through it, if you're converting that energy, because those things of feelings, we have to redirect that energy. Yeah. And so when we redirect it into positive things, why would I even be vulnerable? For the most part, I only want to be vulnerable in the sense that I can help somebody. Right. If I'm being vulnerable in some areas that's not going to help anybody, I don't. What is that? That's just exposure. That's exactly. Just what you doing? It's out there. Yeah. So no, you got to be. So I think you have to be careful because some people will use your truthfulness and rightness against you. Absolutely. People actually do that. Yeah. Use your. Oh, he gonna tell the truth no matter what you say. Just ask him. You know, telling the truth is gonna start a mess. You know you don't need to be doing that, but they know how you are because you always tell the truth. Mm-hmm. I think it's like definitely like selective. Absolutely. And it's like you said. Like I feel like there's certain times where like should not be a choice, bro. Yeah. Shed that skin. Be a little vulnerable. Yeah. Because like you said, like. They still have to be dealt with. Like, we were talking about this yesterday, too. The fact that, like, I think most men are, like, conditioned and just taught to, like, internalize. Yeah. Like, internalize everything. And, like, some men don't even like to, like, be as happy as they want to be because they're like, oh, I might lose my nonchalant or I might, you know, yeah, and all that type of stuff. But it's like, man. Like, bro, there's stuff you got to deal with. Like, if you want to be a better human, because that stuff is somewhere, it's just in the back of your mind. Yeah. And, like, when you're interacting with your people, with your friends, with your lovers, it's like, you're still, like, when you're speaking through the lens of that stuff and, like, through the filter of that type of stuff. So it's like, if you're not dealing with this in the way you should,
and like you're not going home and you're not crying or you're not talking to someone who you can confide in and like get this off your chest, you still carrying that with you. Everyone you're talking to is getting a version, like is getting words that are being informed by these thoughts, and it's like, bro, free your mind.
That's where you kind of free your mind, and y'all soul should find. We need to come back to this, y'all. This is good. Free your mind, and your soul will follow. Because if you don't get that filter, you're going. You think lower to yourself. You're always in the compare mode, and I teach you that every time you compare, there's always going to be a what? Loser.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely.
So why are you hanging out in comparison when you're one of a kind anyway?
Yeah, and that's what I feel like when someone knows their individuality, but they also know that like within my individuality, I'm really not that much of an individual. Like within me being an individual, I know that like you felt pain before, you felt grief before, you felt love before. And in that, I could still talk to somebody about this. Like, I'm still not alone in this feeling. Like, I might be the only one in my circle feeling this right now, but I'm not the only one in my circle that has felt this before.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
I think that's very important. That because in terms of that, you said that I am an individual, but I'm not really an individual because in a sense we've shared emotional vibrations that are similar to one another, right? So we know sadness, we know some pain, we know some loss, and if we're open with it, we can be confident. This is how I got over that. Yeah, that was messed up, right?
Yeah.
But this is how I got over. So in that we're becoming more, I think, more human.
I agree fully. Like that, like being like realizing that you're a complex being that has been given all these different emotions, and that when you look to someone like you or any other human, they have also been built with all these different emotions. Right. It's like, and you're able to like express them. You're like, dang, I'm really being like a human right now. Like when you shut off like half of your emotions, you're a human, bro. You had that in you. Why are you shutting that off? Now you're being less of what you are. And I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah, that's important. I had a concept when I was younger. I got hurt, and I think it was hurt by either my parent or some young sister who didn't give me the attention I was looking for, right? So wherever way I got hurt, and in that being hurt, I was like, I'm not going to get hurt anymore. And I pulled all the emotional plugs out. It's like, can you imagine in the old days, they had these connect boards, and the people would connect so that the connections can get to one another. Can you imagine that? That one of them connect boards? Yeah. And I pulled them, and those connections are your emotions, and I took them all out. Yeah. I was a cold dude, man. I just did not care because I was not going to give you the opportunity to hurt me.
Absolutely. And I was going to say that exactly. Like, I think we've all been there before. Yeah. Like, we've all been in the space of, like, I'm turning it all off. Yeah. Like, I've been hurt. I don't want to feel this pain again. Yeah. I'm going to turn it all off. You're not going to catch me like this again. You know what I'm saying? But, like, also from being in those spaces, that was probably the worst you've ever felt. Yeah. Like, when you turn it off and you're, like, nihilistic and, like, this world is, like, gray to you, and everywhere you look around is, like, no happiness, there's no joy, you're, like, it gets to a point where, like, you start to lose the hope of life.
That's the Great Depression.
That is the Great Depression. Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, my goodness. And, like, because for me, I was there at a time of my life, and I was like, this is not sustainable, because for me to continue wanting to live this life, I cannot function like this. Like, I was like, I need some more color. Yeah. I need some more yellows, some more life in here. And so I was like, the only way for me to really get those colors back in my life and to get the warmth back was to start plugging those back in with the risk of feeling that again. Yeah. And like, but also knowing that, there's a potential I might feel this way again, but the fact that I might feel this way again, and I know that I felt it and I got here and I'm feeling okay now, I'll be okay. Yeah. If I feel it again.
Now, this is where marriages comes in, because, some of that stuff, I can work it out with my partner. I can put my trust in you where you have to work it all within, because you're definitely not going to be trying to have this is not the conversation you have with everybody. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
That you're working with. So Yeah, I think that sense of looking at yourself for who you actually are, like looking in your mirror and say, and smile, which is one of my mentors said. When you look in that mirror, would you smile at that person? Would you tell them that you love them? Would you do it? And all of a sudden I realize that emotions come through. And when the emotions come through and I allow it, how do I feel? I feel good today.
Yeah.
Well, I don't feel very, I feel like something a little bit off.
Yeah.
That allows me to have that complexity that you're talking about because I'm allowing the feelings to do what they do.
Right. And I think too, like, speaking from experience, once you like, because I feel like the blocking of that is really just a dam. Yeah. Like in my mind, I just see it as like a dam. Like it's not like it's gone. It's just like the water's being backed up and 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 backed up, right? And so like once you like be like, okay, I gotta feel whatever I'm gonna feel because for me to grow and evolve and so that I can live this life and I can feel love and I can feel the warmth, I gotta let this thing down. And like initially, it's gonna be a lot. Yeah. You're gonna feel weird. You're gonna be like, oh shoot, you're gonna be crying or you're gonna be angry, you're gonna be like mad, you might be ecstatic at times, but it's gonna be an extreme of emotions. Yeah. And then everything comes out and you're like, okay, now I can just breathe.
So that's a good point. It's because that's a sign. Mm-hmm. If you having all these like flare-ups, boom, everything's cool, and almost anything, then after a while, the frequency of those things get more intense. Mm-hmm. Some people can't handle all that. They 5150.
Yeah, 51. The grippy socks. That's what they call the grippy socks.
Some they check out. They like, woo. Yeah. I cannot do. But when we are able to freely flow with who we are, as we are, respecting it, letting it flow, it gets easier, bro.
It does.
You let that love flow, and I would encourage anybody if you want to if you don't want to feel anything else, please seek love.
Absolutely, and that's the universal love language. Come on now.
Oh my goodness.
And with that being said, I think we should wrap it up now.
Yes. All right.
Any final notes? Any final thoughts on that?
Wow. Love is all there is. To be continued.
Free your mind, Dan.
Your soul shall follow.
Peace and love, y'all. This is episode 1 of Yahsoul Talks.
Yes.
Indeed.
Indubitably.